Like, I think so many people are fake. I'm just being real. Like, I think so many people are fake this day and time. And I also think that's probably why I don't have a lot of friends because
Me too. Me too.
I I'm sitting here like shaking and watching I'm shaking my head and my iPad is like my thing is moving too. But it's
Earthquake.
because I have it propped up on my bed. Y'all, I'm still sitting on my bed where I fell. And so I can't sit very well. So I'm still like sitting on donuts and all the things because my butt is black and blue. So it's more yellow and purple now, but is TM.
Yeah.
Sorry. But so we will be a little more professional as we go, but right now I can't sit.
Right now, we're winging it, guys. We're doing the best we
We're,
can.
we're just rolling. We're just rolling. And I mean, maybe this style is just more fun than trying to be professional anyway. I don't know, but
Right, ready for the next question?
oh yeah, go shoot.
Okay. This is total you answer or question. So what do you wish someone would have told you about marriage?
Ha ha ha. Okay.
And now before you answer, we're going to limit you to
I only have 3 hours to answer this question.
maybe take it down a notch, maybe give us some nuggets, okay? Not the sermon, nuggets. That's what we're looking for.
I think the biggest thing is that it's a choice. Love is a choice. Like
Mm,
every single day, it's a choice to be who you are with who you are with and the place that you're in, and you get to make the choices that you make. I think this is another soapbox issue, but like Disney, Hallmark, Lifetime, they've all done a fantastic job of selling us the fairy tale story. Fairy tale, by the very definition of fairy tale, is a lie. Anyway,
right.
just throwing that out there. You don't fall in love, you fall in a ditch. That's not how things work. It's a choice. And I think that's the one thing you go back and you look, sorry, I've got something in my eye. You go back and you look at, oh, how can people do arranged marriages? Or how can you, by the way, I'm considering arranged marriages for my kids, just so we know. We got this. Anyway, but like people are like, how, do people, it's because it's a choice. It's a choice for a partnership to choose the person that you are with, to love and to endure with. I'm going to say endure with, because there's a lot of things to endure in marriage forever, right? There is a constant stream of choices that you have to make to be in marriage, in a relationship. And the other thing that no one tells you is that, when you get married, and we got married young, right? We were 21, and we were very volatile. It was rough. It was not good. But we were not good to each other or for each other. I'll just throw that out there. But there, the whole inner child thing is legit. Okay. And I'm not saying that from a new agey or spiritual realm kind of deal, or spiritual, you know, not of God. I'm not saying that in things of not of God. I'm saying that you can look at psychology, and I'm a person that believes the science typically confirms the divine design of God. Okay. But you can look and you can understand that there is an inner child component in every relationship. And when you start dealing with your inner child and how it shows up in your relationships, this includes parenthood, friendships, not just marriage, okay? Your relationship as an adult with your parents. And as you start looking and realizing, oh, holy cow, that's my inner child showing up. That's what that reaction was. It was this trauma. It was based in this. It was rooted in this. Then you start realizing how minuscule the problems in your marriage really are, the problems in your relationship really are. I mean, I'm just being real, because you magnify things based on that lens of
Yeah,
things. So
absolutely.
I kept it concise.
Thank you for the concise TED talk. No, it's funny because you know this, I've never been married. I've had some long-term relationships and things like that. But one thing that I've learned, it's so funny that you said choice, because that was what I was going to say. And so it's good to know that if I'm ever in a marriage, I've got that piece figured out. No, because we think what you were saying about the fairy tale and stuff, that love is this feeling that's just gonna, we do feel a love, but it's
That's
that,
oxytocin. That's back to the hormones.
but it really comes down to being a choice. I mean, this is a person that you have to keep choosing to be with through it all. And without that intentional effort, distance will quietly replace that connection. And that's where I see that marriages fail, because you talk about we grew apart. Well, you grew apart because you stopped choosing each other.
Right.
You know, you stopped showing up for each other. You stopped dating each other. You stopped pursuing each other. And I forget where I read it. It might have been in the book. It's so long ago. Might have been the book Captivating. I can't remember. But it talks about even after marriage, you should still pursue your partner. And it's having that intentional effort and that choice to have that intentional effort. Now, it takes two to tango. So if you're putting forth all the effort and things like that, and it's just not being reciprocated, you know, be prayerful about it, but don't just throw your hands up and be in there and be like, well, this isn't the fairy tale I imagined. So I'm just going to go, peace out. Deuces. Ultimately, I think any successful marriage that I've been witness to, or I've talked to married women and things like that, it's always, it comes down to choice in the good and the bad. So
I agree 100%. It, and this is, I think that I will say this. So my husband and I, we also lead a ministry, and we go and we speak like in schools and different places. And that is one of the questions that most of the boys will ask when my husband is in the room, about what is love, or how do you know you're in love, or how this or that or whatever. And it floors them when he says it's a choice.
yeah.
It's a choice.
Hmm.
And most women, most girls don't like hearing that, because we like the fairy tale idea of things. And I'm not saying I don't. I still, my husband buys me flowers almost every week. I love that he loves on me in that way, right? Um, and I get that that's like fairy tale stuff or whatever, but it's him choosing to recognize that when I'm out and there's roses or gardenias or lilies or anything, I'm like, oh, those smell so good, um he knows I love flowers, and so he that's him loving on me in that way. That's a choice he's making.
Yeah. It's intentional effort and thought.
Um,
And we lose a lot of that in today's age. Speaking from someone that's in the dating, well, not actively, but in the dating world. It's funny because I hear it from both sides. Men that are like, well, there's no good women out there. They all just want people with paycheck. And the women are like, there's no good men out there. They all want someone to take care of them. And the disconnect is that we're not realizing that, number one, your partner's not going to 100% fulfill every need that you have. They were never intended to. And number two, choosing them means choosing them every day, sometimes every minute, and embracing all of that that comes along with it. So being thoughtful when you see something that reminds it, instead of just walking past it. I mean, because that's a choice he's actively making, right? When
yeah.
he sees the flowers, he has the thought, my wife loves flowers. These are gorgeous. I'm going to take them home. That's a whole thought process.
Oh, big one.
Her husband, no.
He's gonna see this.
Love you. That's the part of it that I miss. I was trying to think of if I've ever had a guy that consistently did that. They all do it at times because they think they should do it. But to somewhat have someone that shows up consistently with just those little bitty thoughtfulness, it's hard to find.
Motherhood. What do you wish someone had told you about motherhood?
It's probably one of those things that they told me and I just didn't listen.
Probably.
No, I think motherhood, it's one of the most difficult, rewarding, beautiful, and lonely jobs you'll ever do. And it's probably the only job you'll ever work yourself out of. I know I've heard it in my life, but it doesn't really, like, you can't understand the concept of it, that it will stretch you in ways that you never imagined. And that every challenge that comes along with it, you just love your children more and more. I feel if you do it right, you love your children more and more. You love just the season of motherhood, if that even makes sense. And so it all kind of makes it worthwhile. And I just don't feel like I had growing up, I don't feel like I really saw motherhood as something that was people took joy in. They
Yeah.
may have. I don't know. I'm just saying that from my little kid memory, I just don't remember there being a lot of joy in motherhood because the women that I were around, they were tired and exhausted and things like that. So I didn't pick up that motherhood was going to be this glorious thing. But it is difficult. It can be incredibly lonely,
Speaking of
but
motherhood, I'm being paged. Hold on just a minute. Wow.
and you're so needed. You're so wanted.
All the time. Yeah.
Just take out my answer and just show clips from this. Motherhood, insert here.
Welcome to trying to do a podcast at home with kids. Today,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about
Motherhood.
all right.
So, for me, motherhood, like I said, is difficult. It can be very lonely, but it is one of the most rewarding and beautiful jobs you'll ever have. You learn a lot in it. I always tell my kids that, like, nobody handed me a baby and then handed me a book and said, here's the answer to everything that you'll ever need to know about this child. And so for me, I've told them that I'm learning to be a mom the same way you're learning to be a kid. We're doing this at the same time. So,
Yes.
um, really learning to have that grace with each other. And sometimes you're going to get it right and sometimes you're not. And that's just part of it.
They ground you though, like that. If you get it wrong, do they?
My daughter, she's 17. She does think that she needs to know where I'm at, who I'm with, when I'll be home. So yeah, she probably thinks she can ground me too. So
Nice. Nice.
yeah. So what about you?
I mean, same thing. It's the hardest and the most amazing thing that you will ever do in your entire life. I think the biggest thing though, is really like how big trauma plays into your motherhood. Um, and trying to break the generational cycles. And then when you realize, holy crap, I just did that thing that I didn't want to do, and I'm not doing great at breaking that cycle. How do I fix that? And the hardest thing I will say is having to apologize to a teenager that you screwed up. That's hard. Just being real about that.
Yeah.
And um, you know, feeling like you are in your mind, you will feel like I have screwed up so bad. I have done something so terrible. I think every mom goes through that, right? Like I really screwed up this time. But then I always encourage moms, every time you have an incident like that, every time something happens, talk to your kids, ask them, how did you feel about today? What did you see in that? Their perspective is going to be completely different, and it will
Mhm.
help fix your perspective on that as well. It's almost like the Holy Spirit speaking through your kids, coming back, telling you the truth of the situation and who you are.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I try to practice because I screw up a lot. But that's something that I try to practice with my kids. And it's always their responses always floor me about the situation or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I have found that as well with my kids. That was like actually earlier this year with their birthdays. They're both teenagers. So if it's not money, and I'm used to, and I think you're probably the same way, like I make a big deal about birthdays, like that's their day. And in the past, I've always tried to do really special things for them and things like that. And this year, it just kind of fell flat, or I felt like it fell flat because our birthday's only 3 weeks apart. So, but we were getting ready to go on a trip to DC. So, we had that coming up. And it was like a month later after all of this and everything. And I was just like, I just feel like I really dropped the ball on your guys' birthday this year. And they were like, what are you talking about? And they were like, no, we were fine. You did this and this for us, and we went to DC, and I was just like, and I mean, you're absolutely right. Immediately my brain was just like, oh, it really wasn't as bad. And as moms, we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we have banked with our children. So going and apologizing to them, admitting when we've messed up, course correcting, like you were talking about, that matters so much more than doing it perfectly.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And we're not perfect. And if we
no.
try to show them, hey, you have to be perfect, what's that going to tell them? Right. We're like going back to that whole, we're under attack. Our kids are under attack too. And so it's not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes and we need to, but yes, we make a big deal about birthdays too.
Mhm.
Just in a way of, I'm so thankful that I get to be your mom. But I do joke with my kids. I'm like, I carried you. I birthed you. Shouldn't I
Right.
get presents on your birthday? Like, hello. But, so we let our kids pick an excursion every year pretty much for their birthday. And so, um, and they're in like different times of the year. So it's always interesting to see
I imagine.
to go do what at different times of the year. But that is something that we try to prioritize with them is we're going to celebrate you. We're thankful to have you. God gave us you to steward and to lead. And we're going to celebrate this every year. And I know there's a lot of people who there's differing opinions. Do you celebrate birthdays? Do you not? Because, oh my goodness, aren't you making it all about them or da 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 da, we don't do a lot of traditional things with birthdays, but we make sure that we're celebrating the gift that we got um, to
Yeah.
walk with on this earth. And another thing that I will say has been a huge impact in my motherhood is that I carve out time for my kids. So we do kid dates every week. And that looks a lot of different ways. If we have regular childcare, it's me taking one kid, my husband taking another kid. They get one-on-one time with us. And then we have two kids at home with a sitter or something, or a grandparent or whatever. If we don't have childcare, it's me taking two kids, my husband taking two kids, or, my teenager hanging out with one of the kids while we're doing stuff around here or whatever. But they get us time. And then I carve out time during the day. Like my kids get 15 to 30 minutes of just mom time, cuddling, talking, doing whatever. And those two things, you hear my kids in the background, they're being wild, but those two things made such a difference in my motherhood
Mm-hmm.
and our family dynamics because they feel appreciated. They feel the connection. They feel like they're a priority. They don't feel like they're second fiddle or that they just, get things pushed to the side or whatever. If I would encourage anybody to do that, I would say find time in your day, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom and you have all the kids on top of you all the time, right? Find time in your day to say, all right, these 15 minutes, these 30 minutes, whatever, are just for you, and focus on that. And then figure out, even if it's once a month, if you're taking a kid on a date where they get just you and your husband one-on-one, like it matters so much. Our kids will tell you they look so forward to that time with us.
Yeah, I love that. And I 100% agree. We did that a lot when the kids were younger. I try to do it now, but again, with teenagers, especially a teenage boy, what does he even want to do?
Airsoft. Go play airsoft. You'll have bruises for a few days, but yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about friendships. So, what do you wish someone would have told you about friendships?
Oh my goodness. That they ebb and flow. That there's seasons. Like our friendship is a perfect example of that, right? because we've had, moments where we were like this, and then we've had moments where we're like, hello, are you there? Where did you go? Have you been abducted? What's going on? And then we've had moments again where we're like, hey, what's up? How you doing? But it's still a choice. It's right back to that relationship. It's right back to that choice. It's right back to um it, everything revolves around you and your choices. And again, your trauma is going to come up. How you were raised is going to come up. What people say to you, like all these things are going to come up. And you have to go back to the choices, who you are, and just authenticity. Like, I think so many people are fake. I'm just being real. Like, I think so many people are fake this day and time. And I also think that's probably why I don't have a lot of friends. Because
Me too. Me too.
I am. So here's what. So I had a friend one time. I'm just being real. And if she hears this, I love you still. But and she said, she would sit at games with parents, and they would be talking or whatever and be catty and all this kind of stuff. And she she said, "Can't I just be the fun friend? Like, I want to agree. I want to get in the, she was a leader in a church. She's like, I just
Mhm.
want to be the fun friend. I want to be the friend that's like, yeah, let's go. I'll take him. It's like, well, there's a level of that. You can be, but there's also a level of, are you a shoulder to cry on and for someone to come to, or are you an enabler? And I think there's two very different terms of that. And I don't ever feel like I'm supposed to be an enabler. I will be relationally intelligent, well, as relationally intelligent as I can be, but like I will try to have tact and, do things. But I also, if you're my friend, if we're friends, then you have permission to speak into my life, and I have permission to speak into your life and call you up to who you were created to be. And I think we don't have that enough in friendships right now. We're not that iron sharpens iron. We're that, all right, well, I'm down here feeling crappy today. Let me see if I can pull you down here with me. Um,
Yeah.
and it's, we don't speak life into each other. We compare our lives to each other, and we don't, you know, walk in a way that is like, hey, I realize that you're this person and I'm this person. Again, my crappy band-aid, sorry. I'm this person and you're this person, and we're two completely different people. But for some reason, God intersected our paths, and we're going to choose that we're going to be friends and we're going to do life together in whatever capacity that that's supposed to be. Are there seasons that people are in your life? Yes, I wholly believe that, because we just talked about a second ago that people evolve differently, right? And so, someone's going to maybe feel differently about something they connected with you on, and that's okay. That friendship moves on.
Mhm.
If we can't make a choice to still be in that. But, I think it goes right back to that choice, just like we were talking about with marriages and love and everything else. There's a choice there. Um, and there has to be authenticity with all of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What about you?
Funny, because I was going to mirror almost exactly what you're saying is that effort. Number one, people think that, well, if they don't pick up the phone and call me all the time or whatnot, and I've been guilty of this. So I know that for me, sometimes that effort, I know, I know, but that sometimes that effort is not because I don't want to. It's because of maybe stuff going on in my life. Maybe I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to do it. I'm naturally an introvert, so for me, sometimes that takes a little extra to do that. The vulnerability and the honest conversations, and I loved what you said about iron sharpen iron, because one of the things that I've always, treasured about our relationship and some of my closest friends has always been that, lovingly calling people out and not doing it in a gotcha, but in a, hey, I know you can do more. I love you enough to speak that into your life and to lift you up, because you're exactly right. You don't want to be around negative Nancy all the time. And I think I went through a period of time where I felt that I was that person, and maybe that's maybe what kept me from seeking out those relationships and things like that. But I think what you were saying is spot on. And to know that it's okay, like you were talking about the seasons, the ebb and flow of it and everything, is not everybody is meant to be in your life long term. Sometimes it's just for this small little season and they've given you something that's created a lasting impact on you, and that's great. Take it, but don't take it personal when that person leaves your life. I've found more often than not, often there's cycles where they'll come back into your life, but you have to stay open and you have to keep showing up for yourself, and your people will find you. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about before of once you shed these facades, that's really almost what it feels like. You're shedding this facade of I have to be this, that, and the whatever. It keeps you open that the people that you truly resonate with will come back into your life and cycle through. I think that that's been really key in a lot of my relationships.
What do you wish someone had told you about confidence?
Oh man. This question could go so many different ways because as women, I feel like our confidence is probably attacked more than really anything. Um, but I think the one thing that I think I wish I would have known about confidence is confidence really comes from, it grows from really trusting yourself enough to take risk. And it really comes from being able to trust that whatever comes next, whatever life throws at you or whatnot, that you're going to be able to handle it. And that confidence is not built by playing small, and it's not built by keeping yourself tucked away and following what everyone thinks you should do. I think it really comes from proving to yourself that you already have in you what you need to move forward in life. You just have to choose those things. Does it align with who you are, or are you putting this facade on? Because I think too, a lot of the thickness of the world, it bashes our confidence and keeps us from really living out what we've talked about is our purpose and who we truly are and things like that. So really and truthfully, I mean, core idea, learn to trust yourself enough to take risks, really.
I agree 100%. Like, I think you can't walk in confidence without knowing who you are. And I
Yeah.
think right back to the attack of the enemy, right? Like, it, the whole world tries to constantly keep us from knowing who we are, keep us from
Yeah.
understanding. We're distracted so much. Everything is coming our way from a million different directions, and we have so many ideas that we don't truly know who we are. And one of the exercises that I do with a lot of clients, I think you know this, is like I say, go back to that kid when you were 3, 4, 5 years old, right? Who was that little girl? What do you see? What do you feel? What were you good at? So for me, right? I can go back and I was the center of attention. Like I will own it. That was me. If my family came over, I was the one with the boombox. Yes, yes. And the tape player. And I would say, hi, let me sing a song for you. I was the one at church. We used to do a penny march, and I would get all the pennies and I'd walk up there and I'd say, hi, before I put the pennies in, I would like to tell you a story about my grandfather. You know what? Like, or sing you a song or whatever, right? And like that was me. I would soak up a room. I would own the room. Anytime you gave me the opportunity, that's what I did. And so then over the years, of course, when you're a kid and that starts happening, and you're
Mm-hmm.
interrupting dinners and family reunions and everything else, trying to be that, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing because you have to hone that, right? Can't always be all about you all the time. Um, but trying to figure out like where this actually fits. And of course, what do adults do? Quit interrupting, quit doing the things. You're being a spectacle, you're causing so much chaos and confusion, you're this, you're that, you have to stop doing that. It's not, people don't want to hear this all the time. Nobody wants to, that's what adults do, right? And that's what you naturally do. And I have to fight that urge. Even so, what's fun is that's my daughter. Like I'm watching it and that's my daughter, right? And so I catch myself having to fight that urge sometimes because the last thing that I want to do is break who they were created to be. I need to bend them a little bit.
Right.
Want to break who they were created to be, right?
Yeah.
And so, I try to be careful about how I say things and what I say so that she doesn't spend years like I do just trying to figure out who she is and
Mm.
really struggling to understand where she fits in and all that stuff. My take on confidence, I don't know. And we've covered a whole bunch of stuff today. We've covered what we would, and this is kind of how this is going to be, what we wish people had told us about things, the lessons that we've learned, how we can, share that with you, and you can share it with us too. I mean, that's the thing. Come back and share these comments because we're all learning and growing together. So I would love to see in the comments you guys saying, hey, this is what we do, or this is what we learned, or this is what I do for my hormones or my health or my parenthood or my marriage or whatever it is. Let's build a community here of people who want to grow and be more and be the iron sharpens iron for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about being authentic and just showing up and not doing anything, not doing it perfectly, but just as you are. And we're all learning how to do it together. And I think that's what really makes it great.
All right, awesome. Well, this was another episode of, what do we call it? Hormones and hot takes. Yes, yes. Hormones and hot takes. And I love that name. Carrie came up with that. I love that name. And it's so perfect. So anyway, we will see you guys on another episode. Bye.